What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, your authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. And we have got a fucking jam-packed show for you guys today. So many things to talk about, so much news breaking last night and this morning. And obviously the massive interview with Sir Jim Ratcliffe as well, where there's some very interesting quotes in there that I definitely want to dive into. We had Romano last night come out and say that Edson Alvarez is one of the priorities for midfield, or he's one of the names that's at least being discussed. Lazio offered 30 mil to Greenwood. You've got Rabiot waiting in the wings for Man United. He's not signed his contract yet. And we've got some news and updates on the sponsorship deal as well with Snapdragon. So plenty of stuff to get into. This isn't your average, boring kind of news show. There's so much and so many quotes and just a lot of things to take in. So just bear that in mind as we go forth with the news show. We've got Sam alongside me, as always. How are we doing?
Yeah, all good. I didn't expect to wake up to a bunch of Sir Jim Ratcliffe quotes on everything this morning, but that is the nature of Manchester United news. It'll be dead for ages, and then all of a sudden something will happen, and here we are.
Yeah, and Sam runs the Instagram, so he does the news shows. Which one did you go with this morning? Because he was, or did you go with all of them?
So I've already done the Sir Jim Ratcliffe. That's the only one I've had.
Ratcliffe. Well, that's the biggest story, isn't it?
So I was like, I'll go with that, but I'm sure I'll post the Alvarez one as well at some point.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of Greenwood stuff, so I didn't want to saturate it too much with the Greenwood stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get onto Greenwood towards the end because there has been an update. I know it's been fucking like a tennis match almost with that Greenwood transfer. Is he going here? Is he going there? But we have had some concrete news on that, so we'll get into that as well. But we have to start with the Sir Jim Ratcliffe quotes because I think there's quite a few interesting ones. He speaks about Eric Ten Hag. He speaks about what improvements need to be made, the Premier League rules, the Todibo transfer, which is controversial, the net spend, multi-club ownership, and he literally covers a lot of stuff. So we'll dive straight into that. And I'll just read out the quote on Ten Hag first and get your reaction to it. So the coach isn't the central issue at Manchester United. It's a sports club. It needs to be competitive. It needs a degree of intensity, but with a supportive side to it because you are dealing with players who are relatively young. It hasn't had that type of environment historically. Kind of banging the drum. We've been saying this for years, and it sounds like this sounds like an intelligent, kind of forthright kind of person, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's weird how it's taken a new owner to notice this when the Glazers have been in charge for how many years? 14, 13 years, and they haven't realised it, or if they have, they weren't asked about it. So yeah. Oh, by the way, shout out to Dean in the chat as well. It's his birthday apparently today, so happy birthday, Dean.
Oh shit! No way. If I had a birthday sound on the soundboard, I would play it. Yeah.
Fireworks and all that sort of stuff. Happy birthday, mate. Appreciate you support being a Reds Ultra and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
62 years young, right, Dino? Happy birthday.
No, like Chivy. Is he like Chivy? Where you don't know what his age is.
Just doesn't age.
He's just like just the same age.
Yeah. I think he's like 40, something around that. I don't know.
But... yeah, it's just weird how it's taken a guy to come in and realize this when we've all been saying the exact same thing for I don't know how long. Like before we even started this channel, we've been saying this shit. So it's good to see an owner take it as seriously as the fans do and see the problems that the fans do and everybody else sees.
And he speaks on improvements to make as well. The voice is going. He speaks on improvements to make as well. He says, there's room for improvement everywhere. We look at Manchester United and we will improve everything. We want to be where Real Madrid is today, but it will take time. The first thing to do is build a balanced squad and make the squad progress. Then maybe you finish with one or two players like an Mbappe, but that's not the solution today. It does almost feel like we're kind of half a squad away from actually competing. But what's a balanced squad in your mind when you look at the current crop of players?
Well, you need experience, don't you? Like you need players who've got a winning mentality and have been to some sort of top and won trophies. Like that's always nice to have. You need some youth in there, someone you can develop and turn into superstars and mold into your own sort of image in the style of play that you want to go. And then you need leaders. You need I think that's the one where we have been lacking. We've lacked some serious leadership on this pitch and leadership in the team. Players who grab game by the for the neck, get other players in to involve, hold players to standards and stuff like that. I think they're the sort of three things I would bring in, and they're very hard elements to find. Like if you want trophy winners, it costs you a lot of money. young players. There's so much competition for young players now, like especially if you go to like South America and stuff like that. There's so many clubs going in for those sort of players now. Like it's a lot of competition, and then you end up paying more money trying to outbid. And then leadership is a very hard quality to find. There's not many.
Yeah.
There's not many at all. Luckily we've got a couple in the team, like Lissandro, I'd say one of them. I think Diego Dallo. Bruno is another. Diego Dallo's becoming one of those. Andre Onana is another one of those. They're fairly new to the team, so obviously we've been lacking with that for a long time. So I think they would be the three elements I would bring in. I think you have to look at that when you go for transfers. You have to look at beyond what their stats are, or what their ability is. Like, are they capable of leading? Are they capable of like showing up? Are they capable of winning trophies? Have they got that mentality? Or are they lazy or whatever? Do you know what I mean? You've got to consider all of that, which is what Fergie did. Like we've spoke on Ji-Sung Park. Did he have the best ability in the world? Probably not. But his mentality was bulletproof. His leadership was there, and he gave everything for the team. So like that's if you've got more than the other one, I think you're onto a winning thing. Like the guy, you can make up for lack of ability in other things, but you can't make up for a lack of leadership, a lack of fight, a lack of hard work, and all that. Because what's the old phrase? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Correct.
That's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, Ratcliffe uses Madrid as an example, doesn't he, in that sense? Yeah. And I think that's a perfect example because they've got a lot of young stars, right? We've been through the list. Mbappe joining there, Vinicius, etc., right? But players like Nacho, who's the captain, 32, 33 years old, a lot of people won't talk about. He's not the star there. Modric, another one. Cruz, obviously, very experienced, still very talented. Courtois is another one. Carvajal, who's been there a long time, like a long time. These guys are almost more important because they know the fabric of the club. Players that are signing, I think a lot of the times people just see what's on the pitch and they think that's it. They don't know what goes beyond it. They don't know what happens in the dressing room. They don't know what kind of guidance they're giving them. So, for example, Casemiro with Kobe, I've heard, and from what I've read, has been really good with him. And he's been like a really good mentor to him. And why wouldn't he be? He's been one of the best in his position for a long time. So, absolutely, them kind of players you need to bring in. Now, we've got a couple, like, some will say Casemiro or Varane, or even Shaw, for example. But the issue is with Varane and Shaw, they've never been on the fucking pitch, really. So, how can you be a leader? You can only be a leader off the pitch and speaking to players. You can't do it on the pitch. And Lissandro as well. Lissandro's been missing, hasn't he?
Yeah. So
there's been no leadership there at all. So it's just been Bruno carrying it effectively. And it's a big burden on your own at times. So, yeah, I think we've got the right youth players in at the minute. Like, Ahmad, Rasmus, Garnacho, Kobe. Them four in a squad that you can build with. And then on top of that, if you start to bring in... I don't know if they're going to buy all the players. That's the thing, Sam. What do you reckon?
They seem to be going after the model of like no players. Is it over 24? Sorry, that's the kind of model they want to do in it because you want to get players who've got some sort of experience playing first team football. Obviously, if there's a gem comes along, like say a Lenny Yotto, who's 18 and he's clearly going to be the next big thing, you leap on it and you do the deal. But I think anybody else, you want a bit of experience, so the adaptability to the league or to a new club is a bit easier. But you don't want them past their peak or at their peak, where you're not going to get their best years out of them. So 24 is probably about right, because normally players hit their peak, outfield players anyway, about 27 plus. That's tends to when they hit their peak. So I think I've heard that's what... I'm sure he said it in a previous interview, or Dale Brailsford or somebody did. He said they don't want to look at players above 24. How many times have we bought players for inflated wages and massive price tags over 27? Casemiro, Cavani, Ronaldo, it goes on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think as well, like you said, because they're at a later age, naturally the wage is going to be more than what they was when they was a youngster. We're going to drop a video on Xerxes probably on the weekend for members. And that alone, I mean, he's on like £19,000 a week at Bologna. Yeah. So if you're making that kind of signing, he's 23, you're definitely going to have a resale value.
Yeah.
You don't have to increase his wages astronomically. I mean, you could even go up to a 50k or something, and that's not for United. That's it's pennies, isn't it? So it makes logical sense financially to go down that route. And I also think youngsters nowadays are becoming more leaders earlier on in their career. So you take someone like Declan Rice, for example, who's like the captain of West Ham, 21, I think. Bellingham, look at the way he I think the younger players are getting the more kind of responsibility taken on. De Ligt at Ajax, another example, like captain at 19, 20. So yeah, I think they are starting to put more trust in these youngsters, and I like Real Madrid's model personally. I think what they're going for, these kind of young gems, obviously giant superstars like Mbappe as well. But I don't think they paid an arm and a leg for Vinicius. I'm not sure how much he was. I don't think
No.
they did for Rodrigo. Camavinga was 20 mil. So you have,
think
you know,
you need
yeah.
to look. You need to look at sort of Madrid. Yes, they've bought all these gems and stuff like that, and then they've got. Oh, what about Mbappe? What about? They've only brought Mbappe in once they've got a complete team.
Yeah.
Like their team's pretty complete. Like there's no real
Quite
holes in
literally.
that game at all. That's when you can bring in an Mbappe, or that's when you can bring on an Elise or something like that. The icing on the cake is like that's when you can bring. There's no point in us getting an Mbappe, an Elise, or anyone like that because we don't have the fucking cake at the minute. We've got a plate with nothing on it. We need to bake it. We need to build it. We need to put the decorations on it, and then you could put the sort of nice little cherry on top with the class players. But we haven't even got halfway yet. So I think the people who are worried about us not signing the lease or the fact that we're not going after Mbappe and stuff, I think you need to worry about the other things. We need to build a foundation first.
And he speaks about the foundation. He says, we've got more accountants than we've got sporting people at Manchester United. That tells you everything you need to. I remember so-called United fans trying to tell us it's got nothing to do with the environment or structure and blaming the manager at any fucking point in the season that they could, just simply because they had an agenda against him and they wanted the manager to be sacked. So anytime we brought up like what's going on above or what, I mean, Neville would do it all the time. He was like, I know I bang the same drum, but it's true. Everything, upwards has a huge effect what's going on the pitch. And obviously he mentions that in an interview, so it's literally coming from the horse's mouth there.
He's also got rid of quite a few of the money people as well, hasn't he? Like he sacked a bunch of them. And clearly they either weren't delivering or they were too focused on the commercial side rather than the football side, which is what he wants to get focused on, which is why he's brought football-based people in like Barada, Ashworth, Wilcox, etc., rather than these people who were clearly bankers or accountants that were hired by the Glazers to make sure the money keeps spinning.
Yeah, I think there seems to be a lot more thought and strategy going into what kind of players we're going to go for, and it just seems methodical throughout the whole process what they're doing, and that's what's I suppose is really nice. I want to get on to Todibo in a moment. I'm just going to read out a couple of comments. Big up everyone in the chat. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Dino on his birthday has gifted a Real Reds Talk membership, and Behir MH was a recipient of that. So welcome to the members club, Behir MH.
Thank you, Dino.
Yeah, how ironic.
Appreciate
Dino
it.
gifting a birthday on his gifted a membership. Sorry, on his birthday.
Pay it forward. Always pay it forward. If you're having a good day or you're having a thing, pay it forward to someone. It's always nice.
Absolutely. Dino Lewis, happy birthday, buddy, says Richard McMillan, good day. Yeah, I do think you need someone who knows the club around the place. Yusuf Fafana says Lucky Singh. I believe My Damn United said about the members' photo this morning because Samat and Sir Alex both had a culture of nurturing youth. So Jim Ratcliffe said the same, since the current owners came in. Yeah, I like what he's doing. I like what he's doing, I have to admit. It's going to take a while before you actually see the real effect of it, but it's a good start so far, apart from the manager stuff. Right, we'll talk about Todibo, Sam, because that was another big talking point of this interview. He said, we've got a player in Nice who was really interested in joining Manchester United, and I think he probably has the capability of being in the Manchester United squad. Also, Jimmy is going to, money-wise, probably better for you as well. They said we can sell him to another Premier League club, but we can't sell him to Manchester United, which is unfair, really. I don't see what that achieves. Now, there's another bit here, so I'll read this other bit out and then I think. So, what would anchoring do? It would inhibit the top clubs in the Premier League. The last thing you want in the Premiership is for top clubs in the Premiership not to be able to compete with the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and PSG. So, there seems to be a bit of a general consensus at the minute, Sam. A lot of people unhappy with UEFA and unhappy with the Premier League as well. In terms of some of these rules like PSR, and obviously we've got the stuff with Todibo, like same club. Does it not seem a little bit daft to you, the fact we can't buy him?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of weird legal rules about player transfers and co-opting and sort of having a monopoly over things. Maybe we just needed to keep quiet and do what City did. Have the guy sell Todibo to Lausanne, and then just loan him to us, and then we eventually buy him. We're allowed to then because Lausanne are not in the same European competition as us. That's what they seem to do. They had what was his name? Savio, where they bought him for Troyes, loaned him to Girona, and then bought him from Troyes, which is how they got around it. So it's like, well, why can't we use these legal loopholes that they all seem to know about and do quite well? Chelsea with the amortization, where they're doing it over 7-8 year contracts. Like, why can't we exploit these things? Like, why are we being forced to that? No, you have to play by the rules, but these two guys can just carry on and exploit these loopholes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it always seems to, like, when we're stepping on a landmine almost when we do it, but everybody else is like they can kind of pivot and dodge it. And I don't know. I know it is a bit of a shame because I think Todibo as well would have been good. The price that we're being mentioned, around 30 million quid, is an absolute steal for a player. You've got financial issues in France anyway, so that, you know, and again, the wages weren't going to be major either. So I am slightly gutted about that deal, but they've obviously made their mind up about it, and it can't happen. So I see him being linked with Villa and Spurs at the minute. I think he's going to go to one of those clubs.
Yeah,
So,
if they can make some money off him, maybe we can make a bit of profit on him, and then the money can go into United. Maybe we could do it that way. Sort of cut the books.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That'd be nice.
Sure, Nice will be happy about that.
But if we're not going to spend it on Todibo, let's go after Lenny Yoro. Chuck the money in.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of spend, so this is the quote that kind of stood out to me out of the whole interview, and I probably should have started with this one, but it is what it is. Man United's net spend since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill is 1.1 billion. Real Madrid's is 200 million. Today, they have 6 or 7 players valued at over 100 million pound. Man United have none, and Real Madrid also have made the new Bernabeu Stadium. So obviously commercial versus sporting is completely unbalanced in that sense. He also speaks about, he says, we're sort of a bit handicapped in that sense, so I think we'll do a fairly good job. It'll take 2 or 3 summer windows to get to a better place. This kind of legacy of Woodward and co has really stained us on it for the next few years, Sam.
Yeah, it's just badly run football operations. I know we've had probably our biggest commercial success in a long time with the Adidas kit deals and the noodle sponsorships and all that bollocks. But I think, yeah, the football run side has just been terrible. We've seen it, like, players come in for massive fees on huge contracts and massive wages, and then we've either lost them for free, so we didn't even recoup anything from it, or we've sold them for a loss and just ended up like costing more money. And then instead of buying players for a team, we've bought players for managers. And as soon as that manager's gone and we've sacked him after 2 seasons, 3 seasons, we're then left with the remnants, and a new manager has to come in and try and fit those players in. And he wants his own players, and then you just got a mismatch of a team that doesn't work together at all. It's just a collective bunch of individuals on too much money. They can't shift, and they're on ridiculous contracts. We've seen a bunch of players leave this summer. Martial, massive deal. And when was the last time he played? I can't fucking remember. Varane.
Remember Eric Bailly as well, when they tried to retain his value.
Phil Jones, we signed to a 4-year deal, and he hadn't played a game in like 2 years. Varane, again, really good player, but just wasn't fit enough, and he was on a massive wage. Had he re-signed on a lower wage, you could probably sort of offset that cost, but you just can't continue that. Casemiro, another one, massive wage he's on, massive transfer fee. He's 30 and above. You're only going to lose money on that. So it's just, it doesn't make any sense football wise. So I think we need to change that. We need to invest in players who, A, we can turn a profit on, and B, are not on massive wages. So if we do need to sell and it doesn't work out, like the likes of Jadon Sancho, like the likes of Anthony Martial, we can sell, and it's not an issue because their wages are not just absolutely insane.
Yeah. I think even like Anthony, for example, he's obviously young, so you're going to get a resale value on him. It's not going to be anywhere near what we paid for him. But even then, you set the benchmark with what they're expecting. So Anthony's on £200,000 a week.
Yeah.
So his next contract will have to be around 250, 275, and that is just, that's what I'm saying. You're setting the benchmark for everyone else. Then, like, how Bruno has every right to demand a new contract because he's sitting there going, he's on 200, he's on the same as me. Yeah. I'm the captain. I'm the most important player. I'm a far better talent than he is. I should be on, and he's got every right to say it. I should be on an extra £100,000 a week, closer to what Marcus and Casemiro and these guys are earning. So, yeah, it has a long-term effect. And again, we're feeling the kind of the pressures of this now. And I think 2-3 years, even 4 maybe, to sort this mess out. Unfortunately, I'm so jealous of Madrid. Everything they've got going. Honestly, the players.
They've built it well, though. They've done it the right way. They used to be the Galacticos, didn't they? And just buy massive stars and massive players. And you saw the they went through a period where they didn't really win anything, did they? They were sort of just in mediocrity for a long time, and then they've changed their structure. They've changed the way they've done things. So they've bought these young stars for small fees, but kept around like big time players as experience and stuff. And then they've took that money they saved and invested in a brand new Bernabeu, which I haven't seen the new one. I've saw the old one, and apart from the photos and video, it looks absolutely stunning and amazing. So hopefully we can be in a similar position in a couple of years. We invest in the right players, the young stars, build a balancing team, and then can invest this money in either updating Old Trafford or getting a brand new stadium. And we could be in a similar position, competing for titles, competing for Champions Leagues, balanced team, young stars coming through, best academy in the world, best training ground in the world, and a fantastic new stadium or a fantastic upgraded Old Trafford. That's got to be the hope on it, and that's got to be the aim.
Well, here's a stat for you that's going to absolutely blow your mind that I've just literally researched now just to double check it. Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo both cost less than Anthony alone.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
How crazy is that?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Brazilian wingers.
Yeah.
Both of them combined fee is 70 million quid.
Both
Anthony cost us 85.90.
Both came from South America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flamenco and Rodrigo was I don't know where he was. Santos. Yeah.
Yeah. So set up a fucking scouting network across South America and just find these guys. Find these guys because they're there. Julian Alvarez, Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. Like, they're there. You can find them. And if you did say you wanted an Anthony, I don't know how much Ajax paid for Anthony. It was, what was it, about 7 million or something?
Yeah,
like,
it was
nominal fee.
Cheap.
And then when he doesn't work out, you can go, all right, 7 million, didn't work out. And you could probably flip him for a profit because you Man United, you've bought him for 7. You could probably then sell him for 20 to a European club. It's not hard, man. Like, I know nothing about economics or accountancy, but it's not fucking difficult, this.
Yeah, it's just logical, isn't it?
Easy.
Yeah. Go set one up in the mountains of fucking, I don't know, Colombia and find, you know, there are kids out there that are talented. They just need to be found, and you get the right magnifying glass, you can certainly find them. My Damn United in the chat saying, so Jim Ratcliffe does make a lot of sense when he does these interviews in general, though you would expect that from a man who's achieved all he has coming from where he has, absolutely. McMillan says Ajax had United's pants down for Anthony. Of course they did, mate. Of course. And Lissandro was a little bit over as well, what we paid.
Did you hear the comment from Van der Sar on the Anthony thing?
Yeah, saying we just like kept pushing it up or something.
They said we wanted to challenge Manchester United to go as far as they could on the Anthony thing. Yeah. Which is basically just keep sending us numbers and then we'll eventually see which one we like. That's ridiculous. Why are United not going, no, we're not playing this game. This is bullshit. We're going to just go find somebody else. This is ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. We've developed a reputation in it. That's the unfortunate thing now in Europe. And they're trying to get back that reputation. I think Branthwaite's a big kind of stance in that,
Ashworth
in it, the way they're kind of dealing with that.
Ashworth is another one. But I've seen people going, oh, I just paid the money for Ashworth. I was like, no, because then we're in the same position we've been in for years where we've overpaid and we've capitulated. We cannot do that. And why, short-term pain, and it's going to be annoying to be without a director of football. And it's going to be annoying so maybe we don't get Branthwaite because we don't pay 70 million. But in the long term, it'll pay off for us because clubs will realise we're not going to overpay and then we'll get good players for good prices. But it's just a short-term amount of pain, but people aren't prepared to do that.
No, they're not. And speaking of overpaying, we're going to discuss Edson Alvarez now. This news completely came out of the blue. I certainly didn't expect it. I don't think Sam did. I don't think a lot of people did. No one's seen this name mentioned. Nope. This feels like a story from when we first signed. We was being linked with this player when Ten Hag, first came to Manchester United. So Romano put this out. Man United seriously considering to bring in also a new midfielder, almost sure in case Casemiro leaves. Understand Mexico captain Edson Alvarez is one of the options discussed internally, appreciated by Eric Ten Hag, of course. It's a difficult deal as West Ham consider him a key player. Sam, I thought we stopped looking through fucking Ten Hag's phone, but what's going on here?
Did it? You know when we did the Ajax signings, Ten Hag could take with him to United, and you did Lissandro. Did Adam do Edson Alvarez, or was it Chivy?
I think you're right. What someone did, I don't know who it was. Someone definitely did it.
Edson Alvarez, and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good signing," and then didn't happen. So you're like, and then he went to West Ham, and now you're like, "Can we take this power away from Ten Hag now, please?" Like, I don't need more Ajax signings. I don't need more Dutch league signings. Like let's move on from that. He's a good player. I like him a lot, but again, just signed for West Ham, probably on a 4-5 year deal. I imagine. How much is he going to cost? He's going to be so much money. It's going to be so much money. Premier League rival. He's brand new to the club. He's just going to cost a shit ton. Just it's not worth doing for me. I think he's a good player. If we're going to go get a West Ham former Ajax player, I'd rather go get Kudus. That would be the guy I went for.
Yeah. Well,
this is just cost too much money.
They spent the Declan Rice money, didn't they, on Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, and Kudus, I want to say, as well. That's like kind of how they spent it. And they bought Alvarez for 35 million, I think it was. So they're going to want north of that. It's going to be around probably 50 million quid. Is he worth that?
No.
I don't know. I know he's the Mexican captain. It's a leader. I don't know. It just doesn't... I don't think it's value for money for me personally. I wouldn't personally go near it, and it would absolutely surprise the life out of me if they did it, because Ineos have been saying they've been screaming it from the hilltops that they're going to change the way we recruit and stuff, and that is just again kind of Tanak's phone book.
I bet Lopetegui doesn't want to lose him either. I imagine Lopetegui's like, no, I'm not losing one of my best players.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not going to let him go. And he's also probably going to want a wage bump. I don't know what he's on at West Ham, but I assume he's going to want a wage increase coming to United. It doesn't make sense financially from any stretch of the imagination. And he's not absolutely amazing where you're like, you have to have this player. Like, he's unbelievable. This is not a Declan Rice. This is not like a Bellingham. This is a decent player, but he's not like you have to get him no matter the cost.
I understand, like, he's more of a pure 6. So when you want a solid, just a CDM, they won't go too far away from that. They will sit and they will protect them kind of players. That I understand. Like your Mascherano's, for example, like they're just the pure defenders. They're not amazing going forward. I get that he's a leader, but it surprised me. I'd expect this coming out from an outlet in fucking some Italian journalist or whatever. I know Romano's Italian, but for him to come out and say this, that's quite big. I'm like, oh, we're actually genuinely looking at him. It's not Romano won't say names like this, without having any kind of weight behind it. So I don't know, not the name I expected. In terms of a pure 6 who would go and get in a minute, however, it's quite hard because I don't think there's any, like Alvarez, I don't think there's any outstanding out there at the minute.
If you want value for money, you have to go outside of the Premier League. There's no value for money in the Premier League. Like, you're going to overpay and have to give massive wages to them. We've seen it with Branthwaite. Like, they're wanting 70 million. He's not worth that. I know Alex says he is, but I don't think he is. And there's that. And then we've had our pants pulled down before with players and stuff. So I just think there's no value in that. I think you have to go to Europe. You have to go to Portugal. Good value there. Go to France. There's some good value there. Spain, hit and miss. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. So I think you have to go to Europe and get your value for money there. I think there's other options out there. You could hijack the Zubimendi deal that Arsenal are working on. There's Humland, who I like a lot. So there's a couple of players out there you could go and get. I just think Edson Alvarez, good player, but price is going to be ridiculous and wages going to be insane. I just don't think it's worth it.
Oh, God, what are we doing? Let us know your thoughts in the chat if you can, everyone who's watching. Edson Alvarez, the one for you or not for you? We put a poll up at the start of the show. 30% has said yes. 20% has said as a backup. And 50% have said not another Ajax player. So, general consensus there. Always smart people in the chat, as always. Right, we're gonna pivot over to Italy, Sam, because there's some more news coming out. And this is from Rob Dawson. So, he had a bit of a fumbled it the other day with the Oli thing and Fenerbahce management, but that's probably the only one that he has. Lazio and Manchester United have started talks over a deal for Mason Greenwood. United are hoping to agree a fee of around £30 million, although there's an acceptance that it would likely have to be subsided with a number of performance-based add-ons. Lazio also face competition from Juventus for Greenwood as well. So the way we've gone with this Greenwood deal is it's gone Juventus, Valencia, Dortmund were involved at some point, and now it's fucking Lazio. So at least it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's get a bidding war going. Let's drive the price up.
Yeah.
Listen, do you want him? They're willing to pay this. Are you willing to match that? Are you willing to go up? Get the bidding war going. push the price up. The more money we get for him, the better, because it's all profit. 'Cause he's an academy player, so I don't have a problem with it. If more teams want to come in, more teams want to bid, it means more money for the player at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, this seems like a deal that they really want to happen, or really that needs to go through in order for them to kind of spend what they want. What that money's going to be spent on,
it's
I
an
have no
easier
idea.
deal to do than the Sancho one, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, because his wages as well. He's on like I think 50k is his contract at the moment. So, and he's got a couple of years left. So much easier to do, and they definitely want to get this done. So look, I think 30 plus add-ons. Would you take that? I'd personally take it.
Yeah, I think if you put some add-ons in, like sort of goals, because we know he's a goal scorer. In terms of achievements, say if he goes to Lazio or Juve and he wins a cup or a Serie A, like you could put stuff like that in. Because I think they've put a sell-on clause as well, because maybe he does well and he ups his profile and gets him moved to a bigger club. I know we've put one in for Alvaro Fernandez, so it would make sense to put one in for Greenwood, young player. We know he's talented, but obviously the baggage and stuff like that, so you're not going to get a massive fee up front. But I think a lot of add-ons and some good sort of stuff like that, clauses, I think would make sense.
And they are in the Europa League, Lazio, I believe, so we'll get European football as well. So that's I'm sure I've seen something mentioned about Greenwood wanting European football, so we'll get that. May the competing push up the price as much as you want, and let's get a decent price for him. We'll stick in Italy because we've had some news coming out about Adrien Rabiot. Apparently he's stalling on agreeing a new contract at Juventus as he is waiting for Manchester United to come in for him. Now, a couple of things on this, Sam. One, we know Ten Hag likes this player for a fact. We've seen loads of stuff around that. We know Murto flew to Turin, got slapped up by Veronica. So depending on his wages, would you consider this?
Yeah, if his wages are decent. Like, as I've seen him in the World Cup before we were interested in him. I've seen him in the Euros recently, the World Cup before, and he looked decent. He's very important to the French team. Like, he plays well.
Yeah.
I like the way he plays. I know.
Mate, they just brought fucking Kante back, haven't they? Like, he looks incredible. Crazy.
Yeah, I think I know. Aaron wants Rabiot quite a lot. He wants Rabiot. Yes. He wants Memphis Depay and Dybala. That's Aaron's transfer signings, right? Yeah. If the wages are good, I'm all right with it. Squad player, squad depth. Like, if you want to do a value for money midfield signings, you could get Rabiot on a free, depending on his wages. Yeah. Fofana for what, 25, 24 million, and then sign Amrabat for under 15.
Yeah, that's depth.
Like, there's depth there. Free signings, and it's not cost you more than 50 million. Like, that's pretty good, man. Like, I think you could do a lot worse than those. There's squad depth and rotation. Obviously, you got Mason Mount, who hopefully is not injured as much. Bruno, Kobbie Mainoo. And then maybe you bring through like a young prospect to sort of play on the bench and stuff. So I think we could do a lot worse than Rabiot. His wages are just might be an issue, because I know we had arguments with his mum about it last time. So I just don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into another argument about that. It's just like, if he's asking for ridiculous wages, just move on, go away.
I mean, I look at it as like, if a player wants to challenge in the Premier League, he shouldn't be that arsed. Like, no. I was listening to an interview with Kieran Trippier with Gary Neville the other day, and he was speaking about loads of people were talking when I moved from Atletico to Newcastle, it was all for money, but I actually took a wage cut because I wanted to play in the Premier League. I wanted that kind of opportunity to work under Eddie Howe, and the project that they had was really exciting. So in that sense, I think Rabiot should budge on that. Should say, don't be demanding £350,000 a week.
Yeah.
Because Juventus are probably not going to pay him that. I doubt it.
Not.
So, you want the new challenge in the Premier League? Prove it. If he's willing to, drop it a little bit, I'd consider it, because I think, one, he's not agreeing a new contract, so you're going to get him on a free anyway. And his experience and the way he plays, he's not like pure versatility as well. Can drop deep as a six, but he's really, really good on that left side, and he's a left-footed, so more balance as well in your midfield. It's a no-brainer for me personally, but I don't know. What are we saying in the chat? Let's read out. Do you want to read out some comments, Sam? Because I'm really measly.
Have you just seen the Xerxes update from James Ducker?
Oh, go on.
So let me find it. From James Ducker, Man United are in talks with Joshua Xerxes' camp, and while they maintain they have other options as well, there is serious interest in bringing him to Old Trafford. They are considering triggering his £33.8 million release clause. That's from James Ducker, like just a few minutes ago.
Yeah. That feels like that news could break at any point, doesn't it? Just a kind of quick plug. as soon as that happens, we've got a video ready on Joshua Zirkzee, the full fucking shebang, full profile, edited, everything on him, and that'll drop when if we sign him. Hopefully we do.
Yeah, comments. The way I understand PSR FFP to work, we account for transfer fees via amortized value over the full length of the player's contract. So that is correct. However, Chelsea seem to do it the way with 7-8 years, but we're not allowed to do that. Go figure. Outside of Branthwaite, I can't see us trying to buy from other Premier League teams. It's asking to have your pants pulled down. I agree. I'd get Bowen before Alvarez. I don't think we need a winger at the minute. I don't think that's the option, but he's a good player. So now that Todibo's off the cards, we're back in for Bremner, possibly. Fofana is a value signing. Amrabat, Fofana, I agree, mate. Fofana, Amrabat, and then Rabiot. I think that's a decent sort of thing until you can go out and get your sort of star number 6 signing. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Depends on price. It'll be 28 soon. I know Nick quotes 30 mil, but I keep reading the fee is over 21 in the loan deal. I think that's Amrabat, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I want Zirkzee and Alvarez to United better than next season. We don't want Rabiot or his cash hungry mum. Fair enough, Richard.
Who's put that?
Richard.
Yeah, that's funny.
Rabiot's left footed, so give balance to the midfield. Yeah, Nick's just mentioned that. Rabiot's dad should give his mum a talking to. You know. Mum's taking a battering. Matt Millen. Fucking hell.
That's hilarious.
Jay McGogan, I know we're all hoping for a big summer, huge turnaround for Fortunes, but money talks and we don't have a lot right now. I think if the training complex renovations and our medical staff, will make the biggest difference. We'll have a lot more squad available at given time. Use new talents. If they're always going to be injured. 8-year contracts isn't the way forward anyway. Imagine if they did that to get Sancho. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jay. I'm just saying how it's an example of rules that are being bent and sort of loopholes that are being exploited. But if we try to do that, we suddenly get criticised and banned. I'm just saying as an example. I don't want us to do that. I don't want us to give 8-year deals. But I think there must be loopholes and things where you can exploit with this FFP and stuff that every other club is doing.
Well, keep that in mind. That segues perfectly into one of the last topics of the show. So, Manchester United are set to receive a £60 million payment from their front of shirt sponsorship deal with Qualcomm branch Snapdragon, which will ease their PSR restrictions. Do we think we'll see more kind of moves like this, kind of shrewd business moves to bring in revenue? Have you heard about Chelsea, what they've done? Not with the 8-year deals. So I was listening to a Chelsea fan last night. I can't remember what podcast it was. I think it was the Kickoff. The Joey, the Chelsea fan, on that, and he was talking about Chelsea have actually bought their training ground. So they bought the training ground and they've bought other things as well to ease regulations. Apparently, I'm not sure how the specifics on how it works, but they actually own a lot of the stuff now. So it might be because they're not paying it off, or I have no idea. But they bought it.
I suppose if you're renting it, that's expenditure, isn't it? So if you're renting it, that's expenditure, and that counts towards your PSR because you're spending money on facilities and things for the club, which counts towards the club sort of like running. So I suppose buying it as a one-off purchase is better than sort of a monthly outgoing for however long you're there.
Yeah. So pivoting, making deals, and I mean, what more can you really say on it? 60 million quid, Sam. It'll ease something slightly, I suppose. Yeah. They're going to have to do things like this, aren't they? Because, like they said, if they're saying we've only got £50 million to spend, I don't know where the fucking rest of the money's coming from.
It's all sales, isn't it? So it's like, what, you get 40 million for Greenwood, 40 million for Sancho. There's 80. Yeah. That's 120. And then you've got smaller deals like Pellistri, Hannibal, people like that. 10, 12 million here. Donny, 5 million here. You've got to hope that. And then maybe a Casemiro type deal. If you get those wages off the books, like James explained, that sort of frees up quite a lot. And then maybe you sell like a Maguire or a Lindelof. Maybe you sell one of those and you get some money that way. And you can bring in your 2 centre-backs. Maybe a Scott McTominay, although that looks less and less likely as time goes on to me. I think he probably ends up staying.
I don't think that'll happen.
I think that's where they have to be really, really good with sales. I think that has to be the key thing.
Yeah, and all the players that we've spoken about come into that for sure. England tonight, looking forward to it. I say tonight, it's in like 4 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, not looking forward to it, but I'm an England fan because the fact that I was born in England, so that's kind of
don't get a choice in that sense, do you?
Yeah. So I'll watch it, and I'm just hoping for a bit more entertainment than the Serbia game. As long as we get 3 points, that's what matters. But just entertain me a little bit, Gareth, please. Change the team. I don't think he will change the team, but please fucking change the team, please.
Here's a question for you. So if we had, I was gonna say if you had, but obviously we've got the same parents. If we had, let's say, I don't know, one side was Spanish or one side was Finger, which one would you go towards? Even though you're living in England,
Yeah,
you get a choice, like a football player in that sense.
I'd probably go with the other one because I think I've never had a connection to the England team. I've never been like one of these England supporters and been like, it's coming home, but like it's never been me. Like I've always been United. Yeah, I've always been United over everything, so it wouldn't be that hard for me to sort of think. I support England because again, it's the country I was born in and the country I grew up in, but it's not a massive connection for me. So I'd be happy like if our mum or dad was Spanish or Italian or something, I'd quite happily go support their team.
Yeah. I think, listen, if you're born in Germany this year, I think you might just win it. I think they look really, really good. Or France. I think Germany, France.
Spain, Germany, France.
Final thereabouts.
They look like good. The teams.
Yeah.
But I like all these little teams, man. I'd love to support one of these little teams, like a Georgia or something like that. They look fantastic. Albania, like they look fantastic. They play really well, exciting football, and they fucking go for it. Absolutely go for it. And I wish I'd see that from England personally. But
and also, I think you do take for granted at that point because you've got these fans that are coming up, like Georgian fans who've come over at first Euros in, I don't know even know if they've ever been to the Euros before. So. You know, not a massive country by any stretch of the imagination, but they're coming over in numbers. You know, they get to witness some performances that have been really good. And, you know, we take it for granted a little bit because we absolutely guarantee pretty much to be in the Euros for the next fucking 10 years, at least 10, 20 years. These teams don't have it, man. So when they get a tournament like this, they make the most of it.
Morocco in the World Cup, like I fucking would rather be a Morocco fan than a fucking England fan in the World Cup.
Yeah, it's going off.
Those guys seemed like they were having the time of their fucking lives.
Yeah,
and the football was good, and they were like that was fucking fantastic. I'm like, I'd much rather be that than England going. I know what I'm gonna get here. It's gonna be boring. It's gonna be predictable, and we're gonna go out, and we're not gonna win. That's the way it is.
Spain versus Italy today as well, says McMillan. Yeah, looking forward to that game at 8 o'clock. So we've got Serbia and Slovenia at 2. Yeah. We've got England and Denmark at 5, and then Spain and Italy. So some decent games on today. I'm looking forward to it. We'll leave it at that, people. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate every single one of you. Keep an eye out for 2 members videos coming this week. That is for you guys. We appreciate the support that you show on a consistent basis. If you are new to the channel and you're just seeing this live for the first time, or if you're just watching it, later on, then do hit that subscribe button, follow us, share to a friend, check us out on socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. We're absolutely everywhere. Apart from that, enjoy the Euros as well for the rest of today. I think I might do a late night live tonight because obviously England's on. Probably won't be back till about 8ish.
Spain Italy game as well. You probably
exactly yeah. People are going to be watching Spain, so I might do like, I don't know, a 9:30 or 10 show, depending on what kind of news is floating about. So do tune in for that. Turn on the notification bell, and unless you have anything else to say, Sam, I think we're good to go.
Follow the socials, Instagram, it's popping off always. Like it's really fun interaction on there. Twitter's starting to creep up. So if you're not following us on Twitter, please do there. Really, really fun. And TikTok, as always, with all the clips, funny stuff. Go check that out. Go follow all the socials. We'd appreciate that. So the bigger it grows, the more guests we can get on. I've been working on stuff in the background, so the bigger it gets, the more easy it is to get guests on. The likes of James from Muppeteers, likes of Laurie Whitwell, Kieran Maguire, Jay Motti, all that sort of stuff. So please do help that.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you all. We'll see you in the next one. Excuse me.